Alright, welcome back to our alternative energy class. This video is going to focus on the personal energy assessment. This topic we are starting an extended assignment, if you will. It's primarily an assignment that you will do offline, not within Insight. But there are a lot of resources on Insight to help you do this assignment. The assignment is called the Personal Energy Assessment, and before we really dig into it, I just want to make it very clear that this assignment is worth 100 points. In the grand scheme of things, that's quite a few points. It's split into two segments. There's a draft and a final version. The draft is worth 40, the final is worth 60 points. I really encourage you to take this exercise to heart. It is perhaps one of the most powerful learning experiences in this class, but it's also can be one of the most challenging. But don't be afraid of that. We're here to help you out on all that. The draft will be due October 22nd, so as you can see, I'm allowing quite a bit of time for you to get the draft in. The final version will be due Wednesday, December 17th. Now, if you're looking at this on a different semester, the due dates might be slightly different, so please take note of the actual due dates for your given semester. Let's take a look at the draft assignment. It's labeled Personal Energy Assessment Draft, and I've got it here on the screen. And what you can see is that I have quite a bit of text here. In fact, if I scroll down, it goes on and on and on. And I'm not going to sit here and read this to you because you're fully capable of doing that yourself. But what I do want to talk about is a little bit just sort of a vision. Where are we headed with this assignment? My goal in this personal energy assessment is several. One, I want all of us to have a better understanding of how important a role energy plays in our lives. Not only important, but pervasive. It's everywhere. In little things that you haven't ever thought of, energy is being utilized in some way or another. So I really want you to think broadly, expand your mind, if you will, brainstorm places you never thought of requiring energy. It's not always something you turn on and off. It could be something as simple as some purchases. In fact, every purchase you make depends on energy in some way or another. Energy was utilized to make that product, to grow that crop, to deliver it to you. You utilized energy to get to the store, perhaps, et cetera, et cetera. Water. We all drink water. We all use water. It takes energy to get water to you. It takes energy to heat that water. So these are just some examples of the sort of invasive nature of energy, if you will, in our modern life. That's one goal. The second goal is to understand the magnitude of that penetration. So one is to get a complete picture of the penetration. The second is what is the degree, level, of magnitude of that energy use. And that's going to vary a lot between us all, depending on our lifestyles, perhaps the size of our homes, the nature of our travel and commute, etc. Third, I want you to really understand the relationship between power, energy, and time. And you'll see the personal energy assessment worksheet really shows that. There is a very important dependency here on time and power. Finally, I want to then connect that to something that's important, and that is not just how much energy you use, but the global warming emissions associated with that energy use. Not all energy is created equal, right? And I think that's an important part. We won't get to this carbon dioxide emissions equivalence till the final version. So for now, let's not worry about the greenhouse gas emissions. We'll come to that in the final version. For now, let's focus on getting as complete of a picture as possible. A couple more thoughts. You will be submitting 2 items for this assignment. And you can do that at the very, very bottom here. You'll see an add submission link, which I've sort of highlighted at the very bottom of the screen. In that add submission link, you will be able to upload multiple items, multiple files. Please do not send me these files by email or iMail. Please upload them here in the assignment. Directly above this add submission button, you can see the rubric I will use for grading, so it gives you a little bit of an idea of what's important in the score, and it gives you some guidance, perhaps. You will notice, if you go back to the main Insight page for this topic, there is a final personal energy assessment area that's not available quite yet. There's an energy assessment forum. I encourage you to all use this because there's going to be lots of questions. Ask each other questions, ask me questions, and do it sooner than later. The longer you wait, the harder this assignment becomes. This is the personal energy assessment Excel file, spreadsheet file. That is a template for you to download and use for this assignment. I'll show you that template in just a moment. Here are two insight books. One is called PEA Tips, one is called PEA Greenhouse Gases. PEA is Personal Energy Assessment. The tips will be opened a couple weeks before the draft is due. So what I want you to do is make your best attempt and really get it going. Get this assignment going all on your own before the PEA Tips opens up. Once the Tips opens up, you can review it, look at some samples of what other people have done in the past to help you refine your draft version before you submit it. So here's a resource that I want you to utilize, but I also need you to get going on it before that resource is available. If you wait till the PEA Tips is available, it'll be too late as well. Finally, the Greenhouse Gas Insight book, PEA GHG, that'll be available for the final version. It'll help you in calculating the greenhouse gas impact of those energy uses. Very good. So now let us take a look at the Excel spreadsheet. This is the PEA XLS file. Okay. Now, this is a spreadsheet. Whether you use Excel or not makes no difference to me. You can use OpenOffice, you could use Google Spreadsheets, you could use Excel. The thing that I cannot deal with is the the Apple proprietary formats. There are a couple Apple proprietary formats that I cannot read, and I need you to be aware of that. Please, if you're using a Macintosh, figure out a way to save it in a format that I can read. If you have some questions, email me, give me a call, we'll work it out. Okay, so what I really want to show you here is that right underneath my face, unfortunately my pointer doesn't work so well here, but you'll see there are 4 tabs. These 4 tabs allow you to switch between different worksheets as they're known. So I'm just switching now to the natural gas worksheet. I click on transport, it switches me to the transport worksheet. I click on purchases, it clicks me to the purchases worksheet. There are 4 worksheets here. My expectation is you use all 4 and you use all 4 correctly. I have this zoomed in quite a bit so you guys can see the details of it, but when you work on this, you probably want to zoom out so you can see the whole thing. The electricity only. Yeah, in this sheet, list appliances, light bulbs, refrigerators, heaters, space heaters, whatever. Anything that uses electricity in your life, list it here. Every day, keep track. How many hours have you used at each of those days? Yeah. The purple cells here in this column will add up the total number of hours for each of those devices. And if I scroll a little bit to the right here, you'll see that we get into the nitty-gritty of each appliance, or light bulb, or computer, whatever it is. You need to try to estimate the wattage of that device. Wattage is a flow, power. Right? You can estimate it in various ways, but I encourage you to use McKay, I encourage you to use Insight, I encourage you to use the forums. I encourage you to look at these devices, look at the back, look at the front. But realize that not all those sources are exactly the number we're after. This is a slow learning process. So start with something, we'll refine as we go. Once you figure out the wattage of that device, you enter it into this squares. And the purple squares, again, will calculate on their own. So total energy, or watt hours, is number of hours multiplied by wattage of the device will give you watt hours. Right? And this, from column K to column L, my apologies, or column, let's try again. Column K to column L is simply a metric conversion, so nothing to worry about there. These last 2 columns, M and N, again, those are for only the final version. Those are the CO2 equivalents. Don't worry about those right now. Worry about those when we get to the final version of this. The natural gas sheet, very similar, not much difference. The big difference here is the challenge in determining the wattage of an appliance that is based on natural gas. You'll see that as you dig through the week. Transport, very different. Here, you're going to track the number of miles you've traveled per day in these rows, okay, based on these modes of transport. If you happen to have a mode of transport not listed here, please by all means add it, but these are some of the more common ones. Total miles will be calculated on its own, and the hard part here for you is figuring out the watt hour per mile for this mode. How much energy does it take to move you, one person, 1 mile in that given mode of transport? Again, McKay, great resource. Insight, ask some questions. Internet can be, cannot be, depends, a good resource, right? Try all of those. Again, the 2 purple columns, I guess they could be pink, depends on your color preferences, will tally on their own. And finally, the CO2 equivalents, wait for the final version. The hardest sheet on here is the purchases one. Why? No one ever tells you how many watt hours it took to make that apple. And to be honest, it's a very difficult answer to figure out. So I encourage you to do some research, do some internet searches. You could search for embedded energy of blah, 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 life cycle energy of blah, blah, blah. You'll come up with some answers, and that's okay. We're not going for precision, right? If I can leave you with one message here, this exercise is mostly about completeness and being in the right ballpark. Accuracy is, it's okay. Be nice, but in some cases you just can't achieve it. So do your best here. Here we have items purchased, and then in this area you're putting the number of items purchased on a given day. You've got the total amounts and then the watt hour per device or object or food. A lot of people have questions about food. McKay has a lot of answers on food. That's one way to approach it. There are other ways to approach it. Please post to the forums. The PEA tips will help you out in a little bit as well. In case, I know this seems a little daunting. It often seems daunting to most folks. But again, I think this is a really valuable exercise. I think you'll learn a lot from it. Most people actually come back with big smiles afterwards. But get started on it now. That's my biggest thing. Get started on it now. And I'll see you online. Have a good day.